What is the date? February 3rd. I'd like to call to order the February 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of the school committee. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This one here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence. Please be seated. The listing of matters on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting will be live streamed for cable. A recording of this meeting will also be posted on the West Bridgewater Community Access Media website, wb-cam.org. So our first item is the approval of minutes from the January 13th meeting. Move to approve those minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All right, all in favor? Aye. So moved. Next, we have the warrants. The following warrants were issued and paid for the fiscal year 2025. Bill warrants on January 2nd, 2025 for $145,972.53. January 16th, 2025 for $241,634.23. On January 23rd, there was no warrant. On January 30th, $214,311.66. The following three payroll warrants were issued for fiscal year 25. January 3rd, 2025, $614,080.13. January 17th, 2025, $605,257.11. And January 31st, 2025 for $613,802.72. As always, all warrants are public record and once signed are available in the Selectman's office for review. We usually have Mackenzie Craig, but she is not with us tonight, so we unfortunately don't have a student update, which brings us to public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Audience members shall limit comments to 3 minutes and are reminded that public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals and the school committee. Personnel issues or issues that would violate student or employee confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will pass it over to Mrs. Page and Mrs. Jufrey for recognitions.
I want to say Mr. Despierre wanted to be here tonight to present these certificates to his students, but unfortunately his child was sick today, so he couldn't be here. So I want to recognize several middle school students for their work on the National History Day projects, along with the Patriot Pen essays. NHD is a project-based learning that is supported by the Massachusetts Historical Society. There is a local competition, a regional competition, a state competition, and a national competition. The students that are here tonight all did an amazing job on these projects. We have 4 groups that are winners and will be moving on to represent West Bridgewater Middle Senior High School on Sunday, March 16th at Foxborough High School, the regional level of this competition. So at this time, we're going to ask when we call your name to come up and stay up here. We do want to get a picture of you at the end with the school committee, okay? So our first National History Day winner for the John F. Kennedy individual exhibit, Lacey Roach. The Industrial Revolution individual exhibit by Alexander Kerr. Good job, Alex. The Salem Witch Trials, a group exhibit by Molly DeChristopher, Amelia Gunnison, and Tricia Bagapali. Congratulations, you guys. And we have several honorable mentions. The Transcontinental Railroad Group Exhibit by Graham Russell and Cameron McLaughlin. Come up and get your certificates. Congratulations. The Selective Service Group exhibit by Liam Crowell and Evangeline Beach. Here, Liam. Congratulations. And the Titanic individual exhibit by Aria Nielsen. I don't think Aria could be with us this evening. Did we miss one?
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, yes. My apologies. So we also have another National Day winner, Jackie Robinson, group exhibit, Madison Spillane, Olivia DeRusso, Cara Lamline, Kendall Connolly, and Reagan Bryant. Sorry, guys. That's why they were out of order. Good job.
Aria? Oh, she's the one who sent me. I knew I put it over there for a reason. Madison? Congratulations. Olivia? Congratulations.
I just want to say congratulations to all of our students. Great job. Thank you for your hard work and dedication, outstanding performance, and thank you for representing West Bridgewater. So, great job, everybody.
We wish those traveling on to Foxborough High School good luck. Next, we'd like to recognize, Ms. Dufree and I, the Patriot Pen Essay winners. The Patriot Pen Essay is a writing contest sponsored by the Bridgewater VFW Auxiliary. Students in grades 6 through 8 are eligible to participate. The essay topic this year was My Voice in America's Democracy. We are thrilled that we have 3 middle senior high school students and 1 Howard School student. 2 first place winners, James Brown and Olivia Ruth, both earning a $300 scholarship. So if you want to come up. Students are not receiving their scholarship money this evening. They actually get it tomorrow at school. Do you want to introduce your second place?
Sure. We're very proud of our second place winner coming from Howard School, an excellent achievement for a 6th grade student, Joseph Sanchez the 4th. Please come forward to receive your certificate.
Congratulations, buddy. And third place, we have Tristan Hambley winning $100 in scholarship money. Congratulations. These, like I said, these students, Paul from the VFW will be coming here tomorrow to present the students with their scholarship winnings. So congratulations. Can we get a picture?
Great job.
Okay, congratulations to you all. We're going to take a brief recess. If anyone would like to stay, you're more than welcome to, but if you'd like to leave, you're welcome to do that as well.
Great job. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Resuming. Superintendent's update.
Okay.
Over to you, Mr. Bodwell.
I'll start with an MSBA update like we do each month. So on January 14th, we had the community forum here in the Middle Senior High School auditorium. All things considered, I think it was fairly well attended. We probably had 50 to 60 people in person, but it was also live streamed, so I think people did watch it. I've heard some comments about that. We had a number of speakers that were really sharing out information where we are up to this point. And then some of the eventual next steps. One of the things that we have updated on the website, and I just sent it out to the community, was the video of the community forum, so people can watch that, the actual presentation, and the questions that were asked that evening. I think there were some very good questions, and again, it's our goal to answer all those questions and provide all supplemental information for people so they go into this knowing exactly what is happening. So we welcome any questions, concerns from anyone involved. We continue to look at the Roselle McDonald as the main site for consideration. As was discussed then, we do have some concerns, and we're still looking at some of the wetlands, and I think that's always going to be a topic of conversation as we go through this. And we're also looking to see if it's going to be a 2 or a 3-story building. Both will fit on the site, but the 2-story building will really go right out to all the boundary lines for the setbacks we have for wetlands, and also using some of the setbacks for the neighborhood as well. We're also talking about preferred options, considering pre-K to 4 and pre-K to 6 as the 2 preferred options that were submitted. We've worked with our architects and PMA on space summary discussions in terms of looking to make sure we are appropriately spaced, but we've also looked at spaces and done some reductions in some spaces in terms of classroom spaces, as well as some other group spaces within the building. So we make sure the size building is right fit. Not too big, certainly not too small, and we're looking for the next, not just the next 5, 10 years, but out the next 50 years. And enrollment always is a little bit tricky in that.
Mr. Bodwell is I've never heard of a 3-level school. It's just me.
No, it's a good question.
Is that something that they've said that other school districts have done that have had tight space constraints? Or
They have. We toured, correct me if I'm wrong, was Wareham?
they have 3
3
levels?
stories.
Wow.
I'm not sure, but there definitely are. It's probably not common to have the 3 levels, but the way we're envisioning it is to have the early childhood on the lower level, and then our oldest students on the higher levels. And obviously, we would want to make sure we're minimizing movement as much as possible, putting common spaces in the middle, so all they have to go downstairs, they still would be close to common spaces. What we have also done is look at the Howard School if it were a 5-6 school. We've done what they've termed a test fit of the building. We can fit the 5th and 6th grade in there by kind of giving them their own wings. We would have some specialist spaces for STEM, art, and music. We would have special education spaces. We wouldn't have a library space. That would be utilized by a number of different groups. It wouldn't be ideal, but it would fit. But the concern is that's only with 6 classrooms per grade. If we went up to 7, then we would do what we're doing now, is taking away specialist spaces. It's certainly not ideal, and there is a possibility, and we've got to kind of run through these numbers a little bit more, that if we had a pre-K to 4 and then Howard was 5-6, we may actually have to add more staff there rather than going pre-K to 6. Specialist teachers possibly, more office staff or cafeteria staff, because you'd be operating 2 different buildings rather than going down to 1. Still not definite on that, still to be determined, but it does fit, but it's not an ideal fit.
And that test fit is done with, I think, an estimate of 150 students? So it's like
Correct.
25 per classroom?
25 per class with that, yes.
I'm just thinking about specialists just in the future, just with population growth. Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't our specialists really kind of, their schedule's full as it is with the 4 classes at every grade? that they're
Yeah,
covered?
basically the 5 in
Yep.
each one, we really don't have time, they don't have time now for kindergarten.
Yeah, so if we go up to 6 and even 7 classrooms, then,
We either have
We'd
to
have
add
to add.
specialists or do something with adding, we'd have to add specialists
Yeah.
by that point. Our next school building committee meeting is February 11th. It's always open to the public. It's also taped. And we have a tentative date for the community forum on April 1st. Not a joke.
No joke.
Really when it's supposed to be. And we did hear some concerns at the last meeting that people in town, the community did not know. So we are going to continue to put it on our website, newsletters, emails. Also, we used a sign out front here. We'll also be posted on the town calendar. We're going to have the town Facebook page. We can put it out there. Maybe use the West Bridgewater magazine to promote it. But hopefully, if we promote it early enough, word of mouth will help. Because again, we want people to attend, not just who are involved in the schools, but throughout the entire community.
So if you do hear from anybody that said they didn't know about some part of this project, tell them to be there, but also to give us some ideas of how we can reach them.
Absolutely. Yep. Budget update FY '26, so we're still, Mrs. Grant is still working diligently on putting information in, getting information on special ed, district placements, athletics, technology, as well as the teacher numbers in terms of step and track changes. So we have our March 3rd school committee meeting, and then March 19th with the Board of Selectmen, and March 20th, the Finance Committee. There's a lot that goes into creating a budget, as you know. We look at step and track changes, we look at our district placement, our transportation, our staff needs, and planning for the future. School committee has been very supportive over the years, and we certainly appreciate that, and as the town in supporting budgets, so we hope that continues, because we still have needs, and we want to maintain those needs and add where appropriate, because although we haven't seen the growth yet, we do anticipate it coming. I have, just want to give you information on, which I'm starting elementary and a middle school roundtable. I think it's very important to hear from students and hear their voice and get involvement and input from our students. I've always done a superintendent council, which started prior to my being in the role. Once a month they come over. This month we talked a lot, or pretty much the whole time, about cell phone bans, legislation that's potentially being passed about banning cell phone use in schools from bell to bell. We talked about how that could be a positive and how it could be seen as a negative. And I told them at the next meeting I would give them some feedback on their things. But good, genuine discussions with our high school students from student council. I think it's tomorrow. I start with our middle school, so I'm forming a middle school group. And then I'm scheduling meetings with a group of kids from the Howard School and the Roselle McDonald. So I think it'd be nice just to hear from them, hear what they think is going well, hear areas they think that could be improved for the future, so, and it'll just be a lot of fun. Competency determination, so we talked about this with the passing of ballot question number 2, that MCAS is no longer the determining factor for receiving a diploma. We have met on this with Mrs. Page, Mrs. Yanis. We're sharing back and forth some drafts. And I think we are looking at what's the best fit for us. We're also looking at what other districts do to maintain some consistency. But I didn't know if either of you want to just talk about what we're doing or anything to add.
Yes, so we've met and we're looking to, our graduation requirements are, high. So it's above and beyond the Common Core. So we want to keep it as broad as we can in terms of covering the material from the MCAS, so algebra, geometry, biology, and making sure the state is saying they need to at least sit once for the test. Some districts are making that a graduation requirement to sit for it. We collectively agree that's not a good idea. So for us, it's about mastering the skills, the communication and the knowledge and that they gain through those classes that the MCAS cover, the material that they cover. So we think we're in good shape. We're not worried. We want to just do a complete look through so that we're thorough in what we put out for students as a competency determination. But I think we're there. It's just a matter of putting it into words in addition to our graduation requirements that we have so far.
And DESE is looking into maybe down the line adding some state mandated competency determination, so it's uniform throughout the state. But until then, we're in a pretty good spot because we have the mass core, so we're pretty good.
It's a little frustrating because we go from a state requirement to back to local control and now potentially state requirements in the future. So, important thing to note is, the MCAS didn't go away. We're still, for accountability reasons, students will still be taking the MCAS. And I think we'll work through that. And this will be presented to all of you at the, probably next meeting, so we can add it into both our program of studies and our student handbook.
So I think I heard that we're not recommending that they sit for it at least once as a minimum requirement, but the MCAS will still be given.
We want students to sit once.
Okay.
The state mandates that they sit once for the test. I said other area schools are using that as a graduation requirement. That they
Okay.
have to sit. We don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a graduation requirement, but we are still going to be giving the test. We can use it for feedback for our
Correct.
programs.
It's good feedback to be able to look and see where the gaps are and, how we can do better. But it's one tool, there's far other ways to assess, so.
Thanks for clarifying.
We're a proud member of the Reads Collaborative, so I just want to give you a little bit of an update on where we stand with initiative that they're looking into. The Reads Collaborative has long-standing had a deaf and hard of hearing program and had an ongoing partnership with the Norton Public Schools. The issue has become that Norton Public Schools is outgrowing. They need their space. And they use a number of classrooms both at the elementary and at the secondary level. So Reads has reached out, and they reached out, the director reached out to myself to see if we had any space in our district and other local communities. Unfortunately, as we know, we have an overcrowding issue ourselves, so we don't have the space. Although if we did, it would be a great program to implement into our school system. But the Reads Collaborative is looking to purchase a building in Norton for the deaf and hard of hearing program. The board of directors, which I serve on, voted to allow Reads to enter into a non-binding letter of intent to gather more information. So what they want to look at is, can this building support their needs in terms of future growth as well? So one of the main things they would like to do with this building is potentially add a second story to it, which would help them with all their classroom space. So they're going to go back to the board And once they've gone through this 45-day investigatory period, and they have formed a facility subcommittee, and I did volunteer to join that, to kind of help out and try to learn more, but also give them some support.
How many students are in the program?
I believe it's 52 within the program. And
It's probably too far into our future, but I was thinking about uses of the Howard School if we do build a pre-K through 6 new school for West Bridgewater.
I think that's a good point, and I actually reached out to the director and said, too bad we're not a little bit closer to that, but that could be a potential option for other programs similar to that in the future, for the town to make some money by leasing or renting out that space. And I wanted to update the committee and the community on where we stand with immigration enforcement in schools. So we've been provided a lot of information from DESE, the Attorney General's office, and our legal team, as well as other legal information that has been shared. I've shared that information with our admin team and our office staff, so we're all on the same page. We are actually joining a webinar, is it this, I think, Wednesday, to gather some more information. The bottom line is children are entitled to an education regardless of their immigration status. We'll continue to follow FERPA, and parent will need parental consent to provide information. So if we get a phone call asking if someone is a student here, we do not provide that information. We have shared a lot of information on the difference between ICE warrants and judicial warrants. Anyone entering the building would need a judicial warrant signed by a judge or a clerk magistrate to enter the building for a very specific reason. And everyone's been instructed that all inquiries are directed to me, and if need be, I will certainly contact our attorney. That's all I have.
All right. So we are moving on to unfinished business. So last month, we added the March 10th school committee meeting to the calendar, and after further discussion regarding the budget hearing and reviewing of the budget, it was determined that we can likely take it off of the calendar, that we don't need it officially on the calendar. We'll reserve it in our personal calendars just in case we need to add it back again. Does anyone have any objections to that, or?
Nope.
No? Okay, move to actually remove the March 10th school committee meeting from the school calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. Update on superintendent goals.
So I've shared out a mid-cycle update with you, taking the 4 different goals, providing you evidence of progress, providing you a self-assessment, and then also a reflection on them. And I think it's a very good process to go through, because it allows me to look at my goals, look at the action steps that I had proposed, see where I think we're doing really well, see areas that I can continue to look for the next half of the year, and maybe even beyond, to continue to gather more information or do different things. It's also a practice that I'm doing with our administrative team, meeting with them, kind of a mid-cycle review. Again, it's good. I am in very close contact with our administrative team, but I think hearing on their goals, and I'm also asking them to share highlights of things that are going well and what they're looking to do for the remainder of the year. So the goals focus on the elementary school building project. They focus on instructional leadership, communication, and a culture of belonging. So when I write goals, we try to make sure we're not doing things that are out on their own, things that kind of, there's a lot of crossover, I think, between. I mean, the building project may be a little bit different, but everything else is kind of works well together. So I certainly appreciate, eventual feedback on them, because it's, always been my goal to try to provide as much information and do as well as I can to accomplish these goals.
It looks pretty good so far. So at our next meeting, we will formally provide feedback to Mr. Bottles. He'll give us some time to look over what he has here. I see all 4 goals, you're right on track. So you've checked off all of the, steps in your action plan, and everything is going as expected. Have you experienced any challenges or?
I think sometimes, honestly, it's just the overload of, you're trying to implement a lot of stuff, and sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as you hope, and that's just being, honest. It's just some things like, oh, okay, I gotta look at this and see what I can do a little bit better or refocus my attention on. So I'm fine saying that, some things, when you have a lot of goals and ambitions, you may wanna kind of refocus the track of them.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Can you refresh my memory? Is there a template that we're going to be using, or just
So-
providing?
If you want to, I will share this, we'll copy it, and everybody can put their individual feedback in there, and I will
Okay.
kind of combine it all together. So looking at the calendar, though, let's see. So our next meeting is March 3rd. So if you could get that to me by the 24th, that would be ideal. Then I can put it all together and get it back to you guys before the end of the week.
And if anyone has any questions, or I don't know exactly what I'm referring to, just, let me know and I can clarify.
Okay, great. Okay, next we have the draft of the 2025-2026 school calendar for review. So this is just our first look at the calendar. We will vote on it next month. But looking at it, are there any points that we'd like to discuss? I know that the winter break was something
always a hot
people were
topic,
asking. It's a hot topic.
With it happening on a Christmas Thursday, I think we have the Monday full day, half day Tuesday, which is consistent with calendars in the past when it fell on that certain day, the holiday fell on a certain date.
So I will admit, I was wrong about the calendar. I was a huge naysayer and ended up loving every last moment of that time that I was able to grab with my kids. I do have a question. Graduation, isn't it, I know it is out further still this next time around, or for the next year. I know this year we had to push it out because of the 2-week holiday that we had for Christmas, I believe. I noticed on here it was,
After
after
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Did I say Labor Day? Memorial
No,
Day.
I don't. By law, graduation cannot be, it has to be within 12 days of the last scheduled day of school. So I think,
Okay.
I don't have to count, I think it's like 9, but 10. So we're definitely within it, but we couldn't push it earlier. It has gone back and forth, either the Friday of the long weekend or the Friday after. It just really determines some of those senior activities that we do.
Do the snow days potentially impact that, or do we just reserve the day for graduation? And keep
We've
it
always
when we've got
been
snow
the
days?
practice to keep that date. That's why our seniors love snow days.
Yeah.
I met with a couple, I said, do you want snow day? Yes. But that has not impacted in the past. Usually we have a couple of extra days anyhow.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? No. All right, we will revisit that next month. So our next order of business is the CPAC update. Mr. Schmier.
All right. The mission of West Bridgewater Special Education Parent Advisory Council is to build inclusive schools and communities. We do this by supporting families of students with IEPs and 504s, including regular education parents, by offering advice, advocacy, and opportunities for education and community building. Next week, the West Bridgewater CPAC is excited to welcome occupational therapist Jenny Keeley for a workshop on the importance of teaching life skills. Mrs. Keeley will highlight some of the programs the district is offering to support our special education students with essential life skills development. Join us on Tuesday, February 11th at 6 p.m. for this informative session and learn more about the valuable resources available to our students. As a reminder, our monthly CPAC meeting will be held on February 25th from 6 to 7. And is that vacation week, or is it the week after vacation week? I don't have the current calendar.
That's
What's the date again?
the week after.
The
It's a-
25th.
Yes, the week
That's the
after.
week
It's the week after.
okay.
We're good.
I think we initially planned it for vacation week. Here in the Learning Commons, we welcome members of the West Bridgewater School community to come and contribute to the discussion. In the words of Norman Kuntz, When inclusive education is fully embraced, we abandon the idea that children have to become normal in order to contribute to the world. We begin to look beyond typical ways of becoming valued members of the community, and in doing so, begin to realize the achievable goal of providing all children with an authentic sense of belonging. For more information about the WBC PAC and upcoming events, you can find us on Facebook at Inclusion Matters MA, or by visiting our website at www.inclusionmattersma.com.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, so that brings us to the reports of the subcommittees, and we only have one subcommittee report to do tonight, and it is the policy subcommittee. We're in the home stretch on this, so let's see. I'm going to move to open the following policies for review at our March meeting. IJNDD, policy on social media. IJOB, community resource persons / speakers. IJOC, school volunteers. IKAB, student progress reports to parents / guardians. IKE, promotion and retention of students. IKEA, academic honesty. IKF, graduation requirements. IKFB, distribution of diplomas at high school graduation. IL, evaluation of instructional programs. ILD, student submission to educational surveys and research. IMA, teaching activities / presentations. IMB, teaching about controversial issues / controversial speakers. IMD, school ceremonies and observances. And IMG, animals in school. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
That hopefully shall do it.
This will be the last of
And then we'll
the
go back
policies.
through and just make sure that we're good, but there was a couple that were so good that they were listed twice on our index that we're gonna
Yep.
go back and review.
Any other questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so policies to approve. Let's see. Move to adopt the following policies as written. IHBF, homebound instruction. IHBG, homeschooling. IHBH, alternative school programs. IHCA, summer schools. IJ, instructional materials. IJ-R, reconsideration of instructional resources. IJL, library materials selection and adoption. And IJLA, library resources. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
So most of them were very small edits. There weren't a lot of changes. Only a couple that I want to point out. IHBG homeschooling. There was a sentence removed that we had looped in with you about, Mr. Bodwell, which was a student with the approval of the school committee may be awarded a high school diploma if they have satisfied the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's competency requirements, including MCAS, and has met the district's educational standards for graduation. So we're removing that number one because it's not on the MASC policy. And then number two, it just wasn't in line with the practice. The other one I wanted that we had a question about was IJL, library materials selection and adoption. There were no edits to the policy, but when we were reviewing it, we were wondering, what is our, and we're here, and I guess we'll use this room because there's books here. Is there is there a budget that we get for new books every year, and how is that?
Not as much books, but it goes through the process, so they'll be part of the, department's budget, and we just check through the coordinator and then through Mrs. Page.
She was in this room, I don't know. In the elementary schools would be the same.
Yes, I mean, again, more classroom libraries at this point at the elementary level.
Okay, yeah.
They've saved a lot of the books that were in the library, but I think it's more classroom books.
That
That was it.
was it. Okay, any questions, further discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Move to rescind the following policy as written, IHBG-R homeschooling. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
So aspects of this were incorporated into IHBG homeschooling, and it was removed from the MASC index as a standalone policy. So
Any
That was it.
questions, further discussion?
No.
No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, move to adopt the following policy new as written, IHBHE remote learning. Is there a second?
second.
Discussion?
Yes, so this is new to our index. We did not have this on our index. We came across it, and I'll just go into what it's about. This remote learning plan outlines the procedures and responsibilities for the district in the event of an emergency, such as disease outbreaks, weather events, or other extraordinary situations that necessitate the use of remote learning. The superintendent may declare an emergency and must obtain approval from the school committee. The plan ensures that the district can continue to provide educational services, including technology and resources to support student learning while maintaining safety, well-being, and equity. So again, this was something that wasn't on our published index that when we were doing our cross-reference, we found on there.
So with the approval of the school committee, would we need to meet and vote if we deemed some situation an emergency that we needed to immediately start doing homeschooling tomorrow?
I would assume so. But I would also, I think, there's a couple of scenarios here. If we're talking about, what we went through 5 years ago, where we're all staying at home, the state would obviously issue that we could be online to meet and vote. We tossed around some other horrible scenarios where we might need to use a remote learning plan, something like a flood in the school and the building's no longer accessible. In that case, we could meet somewhere else. So I think we're good in that regard.
We just have to make sure we follow open meeting law regulations and give enough notice that we're going to have a meeting. So I don't know if we could do it, we see something on the news today and vote now, unless we already had a meeting scheduled.
Yeah, I think, the situation is so unlikely that we deal with that when it happens, right? So, because as it stands, we didn't have a policy, so we would just kind of be without one.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Nope.
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys, I didn't hear you.
Oh, aye.
You're good, sorry. So moved. Okay, we are going to hold the non-discrimination policies for another month. We will look at them in March. Hopefully, we're still awaiting guidance from MASC on the revisions to these policies. And that is what we have for policies. Do we have anything, we have any other reports from the subcommittees that anyone would like to share?
I'll have donations next month.
Okay, so we'll add donations next month. Okay. Our next regular school committee meeting and public budget hearing date is March 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons. Move to adjourn the movie. We're watching a movie now, the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night.